Vigils across the country today for October 7.
A day of mourning for Jewish communities following a day of rallies by Palestinians who were praised publicly by terror group Hezbollah. Should feel so proud.
1 year on and here we are.
Still studiously avoiding this topic because how do you make sense of the kidnapping, rape, mutilation and murder of 1,200 Jews, or the military retaliation which has cost 40-odd thousand lives, including a great many children?
One argument is that it's disproportionate.
The other is that the October 7 attacks were so barbaric and Jewish history so fraught that Israel gets a leave pass from normal standards. Regardless, it was always going to be a high death toll because Hamas embedded itself in a civilian population. Leader Yahya Sinwar was using the Palestinian people as human shields. He knew that by hosting weapons dumps in the suburbs of Gaza, he would be condemning innocent Palestinians to death. The same Palestinians, incidentally, that he saw as the victims of Zionist oppression. He cared so much for them, he was willing to let them die in a hail of IDF airstrikes.
Tonight in Israel, it's been a year since the Gaza war erupted.
Sinwar was always going to use the inevitable Palestinian deaths after October 7 as a bargaining chip. The images of wounded kids brought to us live in Technicolor and Dolby surround sound from inside the hospitals of Gaza was going to be his get-out-of-jail-free card. His rationale for Israeli restraint.
We come to Al-Shifa hospital to keep us from bombing.
A reason to call Barleys as international pressure grew on Tel Aviv to stop the bombs, as it has.
The Security Council is called to order.
Sinwar knew that was the way it would play out. Benjamin Netanyahu knew that. They've seen it all before.
So have we.
It's Groundhog Day, right? Or at least it was. Because faced with the worst one-day Jewish death toll since the Holocaust, Netanyahu questioned the virtue of restraint.
We meet today at a crossroads of history.
Proportionate responses with precedent that is, do nothing to shift the dial in the long term because they've been factored in by all sides as a cost of business. So Israel opted for the disproportionate response. The ground invasion, the pager assassinations, the wholesale destruction of Hamas's leadership, the targeting of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel thinks that by wiping out the leadership of Hamas and Hezbollah, it'll be a long-needed circuit breaker.
Question is, will it work?
Probably not, for two reasons. First is the Palestinians are not hostages to Hamas. They're not living grudgingly under a dictatorship. They voted for Hamas. They wanted to be ruled by an organisation dedicated to the destruction of Israel and with a proven history of using voters as human shields. And if this latest flare-up ever settles down, there's a good chance they'll still vote for him because they believe the Jews kicked them out of their homes when the State of Israel was created, and guess what? They kind of got a point.
So what do you think's the second reason?
The second reason the Israeli tactic probably won't work is these pictures. The first child is an 11-year-old Palestinian who watched his parents killed by Israeli soldiers and his younger brother blinded and maimed by an Israeli grenade.
They raided our house and they shot our mum and dad.
You reckon he's going to study history and arrive at the conclusion that the death of his mother in IDF machine gun fire was a necessary circuit breaker? Study history. He's going to study the operating manual for a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. And what about this Jewish kid? He's what, 8, 10? That footage was live-streamed by Hamas after they shot his older sister. In a few years, he'll be conscripted into the Israeli army as an angry young man wanting revenge. And at some point in the West Bank or Golan Heights or wherever, he'll come up against a pissed-off Arab around his own age who's carrying a rocket launcher and a grudge.
Geez, that's fatalistic.
Well, this is a fatalistic show. We can't do anything to alter the course of a centuries-old religious problem 10,000 kilometres away, but we can do something about what happens in this country now. I'm sorry, but you don't get to glorify Hassan Nasrallah in the streets of Australia. If you like Hezbollah's regime with its beheadings and its oppression, go and live in southern Lebanon or Iran. I'm Ben Harvey. For more update, click the subscribe button below.